We believe in one God, the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, and in one Lord Jesus Christ, the Son of God. The ecumenical councils were historic gatherings of church leaders who came together to settle the biggest theological disputes of Christianity. How many of these councils took place varies according to each denomination. The Catholic Church recognizes 21, Eastern Orthodoxy holds to 7, many Protestant traditions stick with 4, and Oriental Orthodoxy accepts 3. The first council was held in Nicaea in the year 325, near Emperor Constantine's intern capital city of Nicomedia. The location was chosen so the emperor could personally preside and celebrate 20 years on the throne. It was also a central venue accessible to bishops throughout the empire. Next time, the First Council of Constantinople. The city was the new imperial capital of the Eastern Roman Empire, and therefore a major center of the Christian faith in the East. Holding a council here helped Emperor Theodosius I to establish authority and unity within his territory. 50 years later, the Council of Ephesus was convened. Located in modern-day Selçuk in Turkey, Christians were known here for their veneration of Mary, whom they described as a Theotokos, or Mother of God. This was important because the council condemned the teachings of Nestorius, who held that Mary was the only mother of the human Christ. The council was attended by around 200 bishops, with some, like John of Antioch, facing significant delays in their journey to Ephesus. The Fourth Ecumenical Council was held in Chalcedon, modern Katoikoi, to address the Eutychian Christological heresy, which denied the true humanity of Jesus Christ. Pope Leo had initially pressed for the council to take place in Italy, but the Roman Emperor Marcian ultimately called it to be at Chalcedon, which was next to his capital, Constantinople. This location was strategically chosen to facilitate the emperor's response to the rising threat of the Huns, who under Attila were raiding settlements along the Danube. The Second Council of Constantinople experienced a similar disagreement between where it should take place. Pope Vigilius initially preferred a location in Sicily or Italy to ensure more Western bishops attended. However, the council ultimately took place in the Byzantine capital, emphasizing the emperor's influence and the East dominance in its proceedings. By the year 680, the Third Council of Constantinople took place in the imperial palace, primarily involved Eastern bishops. Representatives from Rome and other Western patriarchates attended in a limited capacity, but the monothelitism controversy was a dispute that was primarily centered in the eastern portion of the empire, in places like Egypt and Syria. This theological issue wasn't the only problem the Byzantine Empire faced, since there was rising tension of the Avars and Slavs in the north. The Muslim conquests had also led to a situation where the patriarchs of Alexandria and Jerusalem were represented by appointees, causing a big impact on the council's composition. It was over 100 years later when the Second Council of Nicaea took place. This time, its location was decided due to the presence of iconoclasts in Constantinople, who opposed the veneration of religious images. This was the primary reason for holding the council, so it made sense to do it in Nicaea, with the Lake Ascanius offering natural defences and a source of water and supplies. This made it safe and a strategic location for a council that could have faced opposition. The next 200 years saw the growth of a new power in the West, the papacy. This led to the split of the Catholic and Orthodox Church in 1054, and the location of the ecumenical councils began to shift westwards. The 14 that would follow over the next century would only be recognized by the Catholic Church, which meant attendance from other church denominations dropped heavily due to disagreements with certain interpretations of Christology and papal infallibility. We will now go through arguably the 5 most significant councils of this period, starting with the Fourth Lateran Council in 1215. This was convened by Pope Innocent III to discuss internal church reforms, a new crusade, and relationships with Jews and Muslims. Bishops, abbots, and other church officials from various regions of Europe were present, including France and Hungary, marking a significant geographical expansion beyond the traditional papal focus. While primarily a Western Christian council, representatives from the Latin Eastern Church were also present, though the Eastern Orthodox Church was not directly represented. The Council of Basel, Ferrara, and Florence lasted 9 years in 3 different locations. The initial location, Basel, was strategically chosen outside of territories directly controlled by the Pope, Emperor, or powerful kings, aiming to avoid undue influence. In 1438, Pope Eugene IV moved the council to Ferrara, Italy, primarily to attract Byzantine representatives for theological discussions in order to try to end the schism with the Eastern Church. The council was then relocated to Florence due to concerns about plague in Ferrara and the willingness of Florence to finance the council. By far, the longest ecumenical council in history was the Council of Trent, lasting 18 years. The location was chosen as a compromise. It satisfied the emperor's desire for the council to be held in German territory of the Holy Roman Empire, while remaining relatively close to the papacy. This allowed for easy communication and travel between the council and Rome, as it was on the Italian side of the Alps. The city also had a large Italian-speaking population, which influenced the composition and proceedings of the council, with Italian bishops dominating the delegations. However, this was a particularly unstable time in church history, with ongoing political rivalries between France and the Habsburg monarchy, as well as the rising tide of the Protestant Reformation. It experienced two major suspensions due to the expansion of the Ottoman Empire into the Mediterranean, the spread of the plague, and the death of Pope Paul III. As we jump from the Middle Ages to early modernity, the First Vatican Council was located in St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, a departure from the Lateran Basilica. It was convoked by Pope Pius IX to discuss the infallibility of the Pope, amidst the Kingdom of Italy's expansion into the Papal States, a significant geopolitical event. The most recent one to take place was the Second Vatican Council between 1962 and 1965. The attendees sought to update, or aggiornamento, the Church to modern times by changing the liturgy from Latin only to the acceptance of local languages, and to foster better relationships with the modern world. In summary, the ecumenical councils were crucial for shaping Christian doctrine and practice. Their geographical shifts from east to west reflect the changing political and theological landscape of the Church over time.